Maya was a dedicated employee. For 5 years, she had worked at a mid-sized tech company, pouring her heart into every project. She wasn't just good at her job, she was exceptional. Colleagues admired her for her problem-solving skills and calm demeanor, even in high-pressure situations. But as her belly grew during her pregnancy, something shifted in how she was treated, especially by her manager, Paul. Paul had always been a bit dismissive of Maya, but now it felt deliberate. When she first told him about her pregnancy, his reaction was lukewarm at best. "Well," he had said with a shrug, "as long as it doesn't interfere with your work." At first, Maya brushed it off. She thought he might be uncomfortable talking about personal matters, but it quickly became clear that Paul saw her pregnancy as an inconvenience. He started excluding her from important meetings, reassigning her tasks to other team members, and ignoring her suggestions in brainstorming sessions. One day, Maya worked late to finish a critical report for a client. When Paul came by her desk, she hoped he'd at least acknowledge her hard work. Instead, he frowned. "You missed a typo on page 3, he said flatly. "You're slipping, Maya. Maybe you're getting distracted." Her heart sank, but she forced a smile. "I'll fix it right away, Paul." But inside, she felt the sting of his words. She wasn't slipping. She was managing her job while dealing with morning sickness, swollen feet, and sleepless nights. Yet no matter how hard she tried, it felt like nothing was ever good enough for him. Things came to a head during a particularly busy week. Maya was juggling multiple deadlines, and her body was starting to protest. Her back ached constantly, and her feet were so swollen that even sitting for long periods was painful. Reluctantly, she approached Paul in his office. "Paul," she began, her voice steady but hesitant, "I wanted to talk about adjusting my workload. The last few weeks have been tough, and I'm struggling to keep up." Paul looked up from his computer, raising an eyebrow. "Adjust your workload? Maya, everyone's busy. If I make exceptions for you, what kind of message does that send to the rest of the team?" "I understand," Maya replied, trying to keep her frustration in check. "But I'm not asking to slack off. I just need some temporary support, maybe splitting a couple of projects until after the baby comes." Paul leaned back in his chair, a smirk tugging at his lips. "Maya, if you can't handle the job, maybe you should take some time off. But don't expect me to hold your hand. This is a workplace, not a daycare." The words hit her like a slap. She felt tears welling up but refused to let them fall in front of him. "Thank you for your time," she said quietly, standing and leaving his office. Back at her desk, she clenched her fists, her cheeks burning with frustration. She had given so much to this job, and in return, she was being treated like she didn't matter. Months passed, and Maya powered through her pregnancy with grace and determination. She gave birth to a beautiful baby girl and decided to take a brief maternity leave. During her time away, she reflected on her career and the treatment she had endured. She realized she had spent too long undervaluing herself, staying in a place where her efforts weren't appreciated. She deserved more, for herself and her daughter. So, when she returned to work, she handed in her resignation. Paul barely looked up from his desk when she told him. "If you're quitting, I'm not surprised," he said with a shrug. "Motherhood isn't exactly compatible with this kind of career." Maya smiled faintly, holding back the anger boiling inside her. "You're right," she said. "It isn't compatible with this kind of environment, but I'm not giving up on my career. I'm just moving on to a place where I'm valued." Maya's decision to leave turned out to be the best thing she'd ever done. She landed a position at a rival company, a place where her ideas were heard and her contributions were recognized. Over time, she climbed the ranks, impressing everyone with her vision, leadership, and ability to inspire her team. Years passed, and Maya's hard work paid off. She became the CEO of the very company that had once been her rival. Under her leadership, the company flourished, expanding into new markets and earning a reputation as a great place to work. One day, while reviewing potential acquisition targets, Maya's team presented her with a familiar name, the company she had left years ago. The company had been struggling under poor leadership, and they were now seeking a buyout. Maya didn't hesitate. Let's schedule a meeting, she said, a knowing smile on her lips. The meeting was scheduled for a Wednesday morning. Maya walked into the boardroom, her tailored suit exuding confidence. She sat at the head of the table as the representatives from the struggling company filed in. Among them was Paul. He looked older, the years having added lines to his face. But when his eyes met Maya's, they widened in shock. He clearly hadn't expected to see her, let alone as the CEO of the company that was about to acquire his. Maya, he stammered, trying to compose himself. It's been a long time. It has, Maya said evenly, her face calm. Paul shifted uncomfortably in his chair. I had no idea you'd achieved so much. Maya leaned forward, her gaze steady. You didn't think I could, remember? You thought I couldn't handle the workload. That motherhood would hold me back. Paul's face turned red. I was wrong, he admitted, his voice barely audible. I didn't treat you fairly, and for that, I'm sorry. Maya studied him for a moment, then nodded. Apology accepted, she said simply, but she didn't let him off the hook entirely. You taught me an important lesson, Paul. I learned that I didn't need to stay where I wasn't respected, and that sometimes walking away is the first step towards something greater. The acquisition went through, and Maya made it a point to rebuild the company's culture from the ground up. She ensured that employees at every level felt valued and supported, creating the kind of workplace she had once dreamed of. As for Paul, he was let go during the restructuring. Maya didn't take any pleasure in it. It wasn't about revenge. It was about building something better. Something that didn't tolerate the kind of behavior he had exhibited. Looking back, Maya felt a deep sense of pride, not just for how far she had come, but for the example she was setting for her daughter. She had faced obstacles, endured disrespect, and overcome doubt. But in the end, she had turned those challenges into stepping stones toward success. And every time she walked into her office, she was reminded that no one, not even someone like Paul, could define her worth. Only she could do that,